Now this resource looks at parameters and what they are and how they are passed. In the context of software design and development, parameters are probably one of the more difficult concepts to understand. They relate to complex coding and standard modules. Also, in examinations or in the software exam, you often find that any questions relating to parameters are often band 6 questions. So it's very, very important that we have a comprehensive understanding of what exactly they mean. So probably the first thing to look at in terms of a parameter, or really to understand, is a parameter itself is a local variable that is passed between modules. So it acts as a global variable, but it in itself is a local variable. So it has a relationship with subprograms. So you often find the passing of parameters only occur when a program has more than one module, so it has some submodules. We know that within submodules, local variables are initialized within that module. So what I mean by that is that they are often reset once the module is started up. So for a parameter itself, it's passed to a submodule and it's not reset. So the contents of it have been previously used is kept. So we're going to look at a practical example that's going to explain all this. And we're very simple program. It presents to user 3 questions. If they get a question correct, they receive 10 points. After the 3 questions, their score is then printed. So when looking at this structure diagram, we can see that obviously score is the parameter that we want to pass from the main module to each of the 3 questions. We don't want that score to be reset, so if they get question 1 right, we want that to stay at 10 when they run question 2. So we don't want it to go back to 0. So if they get all 3 questions right, score should go 10, 20, and then 30. So it shouldn't reset at all. As we can see, structure diagram is very good for showing submodules and also the parameters that are passed from the different modules. And as we can see here, it's mainly going from the main module to the different the question modules. So we're going to look at the main module here, and as we know that code is executed in a sequential order. So we begin with the terminator begin main. We move on to the next line, get name. So we're asking the user to enter a name. We won't go into any more detail relating to that. We've got another local variable here called score. We're going to initialize that as 0 at the start there. So it's a local variable. So somewhere within memory would contain that 0. Now we move on to our first subprogram. How can we tell it is a subprogram? It's because it's underlined. And then the brackets after that with score, that's identified as a parameter. So we're sending score, which is 0, to question 1. And that score can be manipulated within question 1, and it will come back to the main with the changes. So if we bypass here and snap into question 1, once again, begin question 1, underline, we know it's a subprogram, score. In the brackets there, we know that's a parameter. So we're asking to get an answer. Answer is just a local variable within this module. So every time we run question 1, answer always gets reset back to 0. But on the other hand, score is a parameter. It's being passed, so it is initialized now as 0. There's a big difference between null, which is what answer is, where there's nothing there, and 0. Do not get those two things confused. They are very different. So we've got a binary selection statement. If answer equals A, then score will increment to 10. If not, everything will stay the same. So let's have a look at what the user entered as their input, and it was A. So A equals A, so then as you can see here, score equals 10. So when we come back to the main module, score has stayed at 10. So it's been passed back to that main module and the contents have stayed with it. We move down, we're going to execute question 2, the submodule, and score is our parameter that we're passing once again. So as you can see at the right here of the screen, 10 has stayed the same. It hasn't been reset. So similar type of submodule. We get the answer local variable, so therefore it's got a null because nothing's been inputted into it yet. If the answer equals an A, then score will increment by 10. Users entered a B, so therefore the score does not increment by 10. Go back to the main module, and obviously here we have our score will stay at 10. Question 3, if we have a look at that one there, all the same, let's see what the user put in. The user's put in an A, so therefore score has incremented to 20. We go back to the main module there, it's still 20. The last line of code in which to execute is to print out the score, and that would obviously get printed back to the screen or wherever the user would direct it. So we've seen a sequential example of a program that is using parameters. Parameters themselves are passed from one module to another. In this example here, it was from the main module to sub-programs. Has to be identified within the call routine. That's question 1 in bracket score. That's known as the call routine. You're calling on a certain line of some certain code. And it's the main aspects of a parameter. Complex problems, they require parameters, they require an understanding of parameters. If you don't, what tends to happen is you'll reset a local variable, and what will happen is all its contents will be lost, and it will cause some form of logic error within your program, and that's why parameters are used. And obviously we use a structured diagram in which to convey a thorough understanding of how a parameter is going to be used. Thank you.